Yes, people, how are we doing? Hope we're doing well. The usual Marxism that's pumped out in order to weaponize people against one another. And even if it doesn't weaponize, it still creates that buffer along racial lines that makes it harder for people to truly bond of all ethnicities. And when you look at this literally, as we know, it breaks down to two what is actually shades, not colours, white and black. There's a big spectrum of people that come under them two shades all over the world. So, this is an argument that if racism is a concept that you invite into your life, it happens all around the world and can never be stopped unless you decide that you no longer want to play the game of racism. And that's all it is.
You know racist?
I don't think so.
Yeah, whatever. What is a racist, guy? You don't even know what it is. It's not in the dictionary.
This is a concept that anyone of any intelligence knows that you invite it in, you live that lifestyle. So I've seen this. It was a training exercise that was put out by Coca-Cola through the LinkedIn. All I can really say is that it was caught, it was called out for what it was. Pumping of Marxist rhetoric through the training facility of Coca-Cola. And you could argue through the university complexes all around the world when it comes into question and critiquing the critical race theory. So this is a video that I'd seen and this lady gets it bang on and I just thought I'd share it. So here we go. Red Pill Phil on YouTube.
Humans are so stupid.
That's because their brains are analog instead of digital.
All right, lots to talk about and catch up on today, but we're going to start today with some breaking news. This literally just made its way into my inbox this morning. It is from an internal whistleblower at the Coca-Cola company that came in and sat down at their desk and found an email requiring this new training. And spoiler, the training literally says, try to be less white. Yes.
What does that actually mean? Try and be less white. What is white? Same again, do we enter the game of race?
It's not even an English word, man. It's a game that you play on a street corner.
Anyone intellectually thinking about that now will put themselves in that bracket, Julie, and then their actions manifest underneath that flag. When in reality, you're a sentient human being that's been put on this planet for a unique experience.
You know, at some point, I'm just like, damn.
The outer casing of your body is irrelevant. It's the soul and the spirit that is contained within. If you allow the racism concept to become a real thing, all of a sudden, your unique spirit that is inside of you is secondary. All of a sudden, your exterior becomes the most important thing, the most prominent thing. And then, duly, politics, way of life follows on from that. In other words, conditioning on the basis of your external being, when we all know it's all about what is inside, not what is outside, with any demographic.
It does. We're going to go through 5 screenshots that I have of this training from this internal whistleblower. Now, it looks like Coca-Cola, and you know it's Coca-Cola because of the icon right up here in the corner. You can see the Coca-Cola icon, but they're obviously using LinkedIn Learning for their online training programs. It is a very popular training platform. A lot of companies use it. It is not that out of the ordinary. And they are asking their employees to complete a training called Confronting Racism with Robin DiAngelo. Understand what it means to be white, challenging what it means to be racist. Now, you can actually go onto LinkedIn Learning and view this training for yourself. It is publicly available. You can sign up. You can take this training. But what makes this different is, again, the Coca-Cola company is asking their employees to complete this training. So let's take a look at what's in a couple of the slides. It starts off confronting racism, understanding what it means to be white, challenging what it means to be racist.
I mean, by virtue there, that's basically saying because you're white, you're guaranteed to be racist. And I think the studies that are supposedly proclaiming that from the age of 3, that you know that you are racist, and what you could ascertain is white supremacy thoughts and mindset starts to develop from a very early age.
All the reasons white people are bad.
Is that true to say that?
The hatred is real. Can you imagine if we released a pamphlet called Be Less Black?
Goes on, one-time workshops on racism are not enough. Establish a set of organizational practices such as monthly affinity groups, cross-racial discussions, ongoing professional development, revamped interview questions that address racial issues. Now, what I want to bring your attention to here is that it says one-time workshops on racism are not enough. This is a very common line that you're going to get from these anti-racist diversity trainers. And basically, I mean, this is how they stay in business, folks. If I do like a manager training, and manager training is something I used to do an awful lot of, I would go in and I would teach managers how to be good bosses, how to communicate with their employees, how to create good working environments. I do that training once. I get paid for it once. I leave them with a set of recordings and a set of tools that they are then charged with implementing in their work environments. Well, anti-racism training doesn't work like that because you can make a lot more money if you have to come back over and over and over again. So what they say is that one is never enough. You have to constantly do the work of becoming an anti-racist. It is a lifelong process in which you will be consistently doing the work. When it comes to how anti-racism address people who have skin color that looks like mine, pasty white, what they say is that you will be racist your entire life. It is a lifelong process of deconstructing your own whiteness, and now they're trying to bring it into organizations.
I mean, the thought of that is shocking. I would not want to apply that on any other ethnicity. I wouldn't.
Yo, I'm from Mississippi. I don't care who you are, what walk of life you come from. You come down here and have a beer with me anytime.
There is good and bad in everyone. And I take this lady's point. She's bang on. The ecosystem that has now been created because of this, you could almost argue like the pharmaceutical industry, tries to play that they are healing the world. But in many ways, they're keeping the world sick, and the pharmaceutical company is there mopping it up on the belief that they're making you better, but they're actually perpetually making you more sick, which creates this very nice eco-pharmaceutical system that keeps everyone drugged up, you could argue. Because if all you're encountering is constant racism and being told, then you've got an ecosystem, a financial system that's being created and generated, circulating this material over and over again, which is bad enough. The ramifications should make people really sit and think as to whether this is a good idea. Perpetually having an ecosystem that is pumping out this toxicity in order to divide people on the premise of it being an equilibrium. Are you having a laugh?
You a racist?
I don't think so.
Yeah, whatever. What is a racist, guy? You don't even know what it is. It's not in the dictionary.
Moving on, we've got this slide here. In the U.S., and other Western nations, white people are socialized to feel that they are inherently superior because they are white.
At some point, I'm just like, damn.
Research shows that by the ages of 3 to 4, children understand that it is better to be white.
Someone should have told me that at 3, because I seriously didn't think that. Honestly, I was sat on the floor with my mate playing with one of the Batman cars, and that's all I was thinking of. I didn't have that concept. It's only outside influences that make you feel that that's a concept, but that didn't start at the age of 3.
Now, this is Robin DiAngelo's MO. Of course, you'll see there's no There are no scholarly references to back this up. And if you read the book White Fragility, the references in the book White Fragility, which is where all this stuff comes from, this is what she talks about in that book, there are no academic references for a lot of the information that she purports in that book, particularly not around ideas like this. In White Fragility, Robin DiAngelo talks about being raised as a privileged white lady and how she was always afraid of black people and was afraid of going to potlucks with black people. I'm not making this up. It's actually in the book. She confesses her racism throughout the book. She talks about how she's a racist. She talks about how she treats her coworkers with racist behavior that she then has to go and apologize for, and she's always so grateful when her coworkers forgive her for being racist. But does she provide any sources to back it up? No, she's speaking from her own perspective. Robin DiAngelo is in this years-long process of making a public confession about how racist she is.
There you go. Lady succinctly broke that down. So because of her inherent guilt, she's ultimately moved to progressive Marxism and now applying that on everyone that looks like her. If anyone is the racist here, it is Robin DiAngelo, surely. She's weaponizing not only black people, but white people, because she's playing that game of race and racism.